Welcome back, and today we're going to go over my best 10 cardboard destroyers. What I mean by that is my best slicers. I test a lot of knives, and these knives perform the absolute best, and all these knives are under $100. I did this list a while back, and it's changed a good bit because there's better knives that have come out over the years, and these are those knives. The first one is coming from Oknife. I reviewed this one not too long ago. This is a Sentry R1. It has ridiculously thin blade stock. So what makes a knife cut better is geometry cuts. So the thinner the stock, the better it's going to slice. And the thinner it is behind the edge, it's going to make it slice and perform better. And how shallow that edge bevel is. Now, if you get too shallow, then you have edge stability problems. But whenever you have something this thin, and as long as you keep that knife sharp, it's going to perform great. Not to mention, this is very thin behind the edge. This thing slices like nobody's business. It's in 14C 28N blade steel, contoured scales. It's got the crossbar lock, very, very smooth. And lately, this has been my knife I grab whenever I got to break down a bunch of cardboard, or if I just feel like cutting stuff. This thing just performs outstanding, and the price is excellent. Next up is the Vosteed Gator, another one I reviewed a while back. This one is like 13 thousandths behind the edge. All these knives are around 13 to 14 thousandths behind the edge, maybe 15 thousandths, but they have thinner blade stock. So they perform great. The Gator's in 14C, one of my favorite budget steels. It has beautiful action. And if you like larger knives, it's got a pretty long blade here, very high flat grind, and just slices like nobody's business. And this thing, and just like all the Vosteed knives I usually get out of box, are just ridiculously sharp. This thing came hair whittling sharp out of box. I don't have any other knives really, maybe Spyderco, that their knives have come that sharp out of box. And they hold their edge too. The factory edge is always good. I don't feel like I have to sharpen their knives right out of the box because they have burnt edges. Excellent job with the Vosteed Gator. A lot of their knives slice well, but this one is just ground nice and thin. I also love the Nightshade, but it's nowhere near as thin as the Gator. Number 3, we have the CJRB large Pyrite. This one has that thinner blade stock, and you have a nice full-size blade, almost a 4-inch blade, that high flat grind. It is the scales are a little bit thinner, so if you're going to be doing a lot of hard pushing, this one is probably going to fatigue your hand and your forearms rather quickly, but it slices so well. You can see right here how thin it is. Just look behind the plunge line if you can. That's usually how you can tell how thin it is, or get you a set of calipers. But the large Pyrite is a phenomenal cutter. So is the smaller one and the alt Pyrite, the reverse Tanto one. Super lightweight, easy to carry. These are in their ARPM9 stainless steel, their proprietary steel, and I've tested it a lot, and it performs pretty darn good. Next, we got probably the best bang for your buck this year, and that is the Sencut Serene. This one's in aluminum scales. You have a full flat grind, and I'm pretty sure this is in D2 steel. Yeah, nice and thin behind the edge, slices like nobody's business. Their D2 holds up well. Very smooth and snappy button lock. The scales are nice and comfortable. They did a great job of softening them up right here. So while you're slicing and dicing, it's going to be nice and comfortable. Has a reversible pocket clip. Yeah, and this one is, I'm pretty certain it's under $50. If I'm wrong, I'll put it up here. I will have links down in the description. They are affiliate links, so if you want to help support the channel, that is one way you can do so. And I think I will be setting up a Patreon here soon to try to cover my testing materials cost. So that's the next one. We have another Sencut, and this is the Sencut Mims. Beautiful drop point blade. This one is in the stainless steel. They're 9CR 18 MOV. It's super slicey, and I chose this one over the Sencut Sashi because you have a little bit longer blade, and that's mainly the reason why. That's about it. This one is a little bit thinner behind the edge than the Sashi, but not a huge noticeable difference. But I just seem to grab this one a little bit more than the Sashi. It's an outstanding slicer, and it's very, very well priced. Next up, we have two Kizers. The Kizer Mini Roach. This one is a wicked little slicer. It comes with a flipper tab, but you can remove it. See the little slot right there? So you can choke up if you need to get right up to what you're cutting down on. This one is such a good slicer because it has a nice deep hollow grind on it, and it comes down nice and thin. So it's going to stay thin, you know, probably about, you know, up to about right there. It's going to still be under 30 thousandths all the way right there, which you can't say about a lot of knives. You can see right here, look how thin, all that. So this one's gonna perform nice, and I love a good hollow grind. They slice very well, and you hear some people say, yeah, but they got this thick flat, and once it hits that flat, it's not gonna be that good of a slicer. It depends on what you're cutting. And if you're cutting something that when you cut it, it collapses back onto the blade, like cheese maybe, or an apple. Not even apple split. But most things that I know, pretty much everything I cut, all the testing stuff I do, whenever I go to cut into it, it's basically all you're cutting it with that edge bevel right there, and it's separating like this once you're going down. Now, it may start collapsing if it's a long run of something. Maybe some dense rubber, that would play a bigger factor, but, you know, cardboard, rope, tubing, you know, string, all that stuff, plastic, well, most plastic, you're not going to have to worry about that flat being a huge problem. This one is in 154 cm steel. Getting this beautiful stone wash. Also comes on a black wash blade. Very comfortable handle. G10 scales with a like honeycomb pattern on it. Yeah, this is a really, really cool knife. The Kizer Domin. These are priced very, very well also. Get it coated, non-coated. This one has a deep hollow on it too. And, you know, stays pretty thin up to about right there. So you can better sharpen it all the way up to right there before it starts to thicken up, you know, rather quickly. I'm sorry. You can look right down by that tip. This thing slices well, and being that you have pretty much of a straight edge, kind of cants up, it's going to be a very powerful cutter too. This one is ridiculously smooth, you know, fairly comfortable, depending on your hand size. You may feel that pocket clip. I can get around it for the most part. Yeah, this one is a knife I've recommended to a lot of people for the price point, and, you know, if they're looking for something nice and slicey. This one's in 154 cm, and Kizer does a pretty darn good job with their 154. I couldn't have this list without some Civivis, because a lot of their knives are very good slicers, but two in particular are very good. The new Civivi Qubit is an outstanding slicer, and it's super snappy. There's several reasons why this thing, or a few reasons why this is a super slicer. One, it's a full flat grind. Two, look how thin that blade stock is. I think it's the same thinness as this Oknife. Look at that. It may not look like it because this one has a bevel all the way around, but if it's not the same, it's pretty darn close. And it's super thin behind the edge. Look at that. It's like, I don't know if that's coming across, but it's like a wafer. Very, very thin. This thing performs great. It's a great EDC size. So if you're looking for a super slicer that's easy to carry, it's lightweight, very comfortable because they soften that aluminum. Good button lock action. And oh yeah, they give you a bottle opener too. Not that that would be a reason why I would buy this knife or anything. I did a short being silly talking about that. Yeah, love the Qubit 14C 28M blade steel, priced well. And probably my favorite Civivi that I, grab whenever I want to cut up a bunch of stuff, that is the Civivi Elementum button lock. Now this is not a traditional button lock. It's more like a reverse liner lock or a button liner lock, because you see the little plunger deal. It's hooked to a like a liner lock that you push over, and in the closed position it's locked. You have to actually press that button to open it. It's a different kind of fidgety, but comfortable. You get a nice full-size blade and a deep hollow grind. 14C on this one as well. They got different colors of micarta. I think you can even get into G10. You get into Damascus, but I much prefer the 14C. Oh, I did confirm with Civivi that I asked them what the Damascus was made, what's the core steel on the Damascus for the Civivi Sentinel Strike, and they said that one it has the 10CR core, which is basically like VG10, which kind of makes sense why it performs good like it does and gets stupid sharp, just like this bad boy. I put a semi-polished edge on this one because 14C can handle a good polished edge and get stupid sharp. Yeah. Yes, it's an easy knife to carry because it's nice and streamlined. And the cheapest knife on this list, and it kind of surprised me, and that is the Citivien ST152. I bought this. It was going to be an Amazon Knife of the Month pick. I did a short with it, and then I had to break down a bunch of boxes. So I grabbed this. It's in D2 or K110, which is D2 steel. It's got nice and comfortable contoured micarta scales that fill out the hand nice, and it's a nice full-size blade. It's got beautiful action. This is the nicest Citivien of the cheaper ones that I've ever gotten. My other ones, some of them had issues with them. This one has been solid through and through, and I think this is my third one that I've owned. I gifted a couple of friends the knife, and they love it as well. And I took my calipers out because I was like, man, this thing's slicing really, really well. And the behind the edge thickness on this particular one, behind the edge is like 13 thousandths right there, and like all the way to about right there, it's like 22 thousandths, which is awesome. It's probably not ran as hard as, say, Civivi's D2, but it was pretty easy to strap back, and it's still, decently sharp. Came really, really sharp. So yeah, that is my top 10 best cardboard destroyers, super slicers, under $100. Let me know what are some of your best slicers in your collection. Because if I don't have them, I probably will pick them up, because a knife is one job is to cut things, and I like them to cut things well. Now, if you have a job that requires you to cut things and then requires you to abuse them from time to time, I get it. I used to have that kind of job, and these may not be the knife that you want to use, but they can handle pretty much any type of cutting you do. And if you do average EDC tasks, these things will handle them very, very well. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. Like I said, I will have all these linked down in the comments, and I'll try to have them in the comments and in the description. They are affiliate links, so if you want to help support what I do here on this channel, that makes a huge difference. And let me know what y'all think about me setting up a Patreon. It's either that or stop doing the testing, because it gets expensive. All right, guys and girls, I hope everybody's having an absolute amazing day. I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.